Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Gamertag Radio.
Welcome to Gamertag Radio, episode 1383. This is your host, Danny Pena, and also joining me for this special episode, Parris Lee. What's up, Parris?
What's up, Danny? How you doing, man?
Good. Just getting ready to talk to you about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We've been playing this now for about a week or so. How far are you in the game?
I am almost complete. I am towards the very end.
Okay, so I think that's good enough.
And let's be clear.
Yeah.
The reason is because we got review code late, and we got it during the holidays, and dealing with family and all that stuff. So I've not had as much time to play as I would want to. But obviously, we'll get into all that stuff. But they did not give us a week as we're recording this. I mean, realistically, we had, 5 days?
Yeah. Adding all the holidays and all that stuff. Yeah. But I'll say this. Should we start with the bad or the good? I know people are going to be very curious about all this stuff, you know. So
I will let you lead this because I have thoughts.
Okay, you have thoughts. All right, I'll go with the good first because I don't want to start the show with the bad. The good is I'm enjoying the game. Some people might have different opinions about the game and everything, but I feel like it's fun. I can hear myself, Parris, for some reason. Are you loud? All right, 1 2 1 2. All right,
I don't think so.
Now I don't hear anything. It is fun. You know, I really enjoy the story. It reminded me of the old Indiana Jones, and this is the truth, in my opinion. Again, I think this script and the story overall is better than the last two Indiana Jones movies. Like I love the old school, you know, from like the 80s movies and stuff. So I really enjoyed this game a lot when it comes to that. Top notch voice acting. My God, Troy Baker, bro. I was not expecting for him to sound exactly like Indiana Jones. Honestly, he could be like, if they never mentioned his name, I thought it would have been Harrison Ford the whole time because it's that good. It's that good, A+ on that one, man. A+. I know there's puzzles in the game where you could also change the difficulty if you want, but I didn't find the puzzles really difficult at all. But I was playing normal the whole time, so I don't know if it was different for you. But you could change the difficulty, the puzzles, and also the combat. And I played the PC version, and overall it looks good, but there was like certain, I don't know if it was like the cinematics, the CGI part of the game, which was a lot. It was like a little bit weird. Maybe they'll fix it. Barry will fix it with a patch. I don't know if it was like that for consoles at all, but and I do know that there's a lot of side quests. You could take your time in a certain area and just do side quests where you can meet somebody that's around the area. Maybe they want you to find a certain person or a certain item. There's a lot of things to do in the game. I thought it was just going to be puzzles, action pack, and story, and that's it. I didn't know there was going to be a lot of side quests, in the game. So that was really cool. I only did like maybe 1 or 2 side quests. I was just focus on the story overall. But I really enjoy this when it comes to story and everything. Now with the bad for me, Parris. I felt there was a couple things. One that was very annoying for me is, let's say I pick up an item and I'm going to go, let's say, up the stairs, like a ladder, or maybe I find something like an item I pick up. My weapon drops, and it reminded me of Star Wars Outlaws. So that was the part of the game that I didn't like. I'll pick up something. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to use this, and it will drop. In the game, when you battle against an enemy, you will use an item, let's say a gun, I could shoot, and also I could also hit them with the gun, melee style. Mm-hmm. But after a while, it will get broken. You will get items where you could repair your weapon, and you could reuse it still. So that was the part that it was very, very annoying. Combat is a hit or miss for me. Sometimes it was like great. Sometimes it was a little off. I like there was one part where I fought there was like a boss battle, and I was like, "Yo, am I doing this wrong?" Like I just didn't get it at first. It took me a while to figure it out, but it shouldn't be this way where the average person that plays this, that they just love Indiana Jones, they just want to play. They don't play games like that. They see it, and for them probably it's probably going to be even more confused. Like, yo, am I doing something right or what? So that was the part that really bothered me. But I felt like there was more good than bad. And another thing I forgot to mention about the good is the formula of Indiana Jones in movies, where the comedy part, where let's say Indiana Jones is fighting, with somebody in the front, and by mistake he hits somebody in the back using the elbow, or the comedy, him, kicking to the woman that is there in the movement, in the game, exactly like the movie, and also just the music, just little things that I got to see in the game. That formula remind me so much of the movie that I was like, man, this is so cool. I wish they would have made a movie like this, like with this type of story. Because I really, really enjoyed it. And even the ending is like Indiana Jones, which I'm not going to say because it's going to spoil, but just the whole formula was just perfect when it comes to that, man. The only issue that I had was the combat, in my opinion. The combat was just like a hit or miss for me. But I definitely would like to hear your thoughts overall for you about this game.
So I've struggled with how to articulate my thoughts on this game because I am a huge Indiana Jones fan. I grew up with Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I loved The Last Crusade. To your point, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and the last one that just came out weren't that great, but the original trilogy was fantastic, right? So I know Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones. To your point about Troy Baker, he knocked it out of the park. I mean, honestly, the entire voice cast, shout out to Tony Todd as well. I mean, if anything, we didn't get enough of Tony Todd in this game. They were fantastic. Troy Baker was Indiana Jones, period, point blank. Like you said, if you would have not just played it and you would have just thought it was Harrison Ford, that's how good a job he did. As that goes, as a story, this was an Indiana Jones story. This was classic Indiana Jones. If this was a proper sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, you wouldn't have batted an eye. You would have, this is great. I mean, this could have just been an animated movie with this whole story. You would have loved it. Now, my problems with the game. Mm-hmm. As much as I love the nostalgia of this, as much as I love that they knocked it out of the park. They captured the full essence of Indiana Jones, like you mentioned, the comedy of it, just everything that you would expect in an Indiana Jones story. They got right. There's no complaints here when it comes to that. This game, unfortunately, is broken. The gameplay in here, it's not good. I mean, the puzzles are great. I love the puzzles. This should not have been an open zone game. This should have been a linear game. Part of my main complaints is there's a lot of backtracking that happens in these open zones, a lot of back and forth that you're doing. Because I was doing side quests and stuff, right? So, I kind of being more of a completionist when it comes to that, along with the main story. So I found myself going to the same areas over and over again to the point where it started to get boring. Like in between the action of combat or a puzzle, I'm just backtracking through areas. I swear to God, if I go to Antonio's office again, I'm gonna lose my mind, right? It was that kind of backtracking that was in there. The gameplay itself, and it was funny because, I did the preview. Even in the preview, I was a little concerned about the melee at the time. And then that has been fully realized now. The melee and even the gun combat, for what I expect from machine games, because I am a huge Wolfenstein fan at the same time, I wasn't getting that level of quality here with the gameplay. Not to mention the AI is brain dead. There's just no other way to explain it. There was a bug, and again, I'm not dinging it for bugs because I know we played it earlier. There's gonna be patches and stuff, right? So I had a bug that was kind of game breaking in the sense that I had to roll back to an old checkpoint and do it over, right? So because I knew, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go on a rampage and die, and then I'm just gonna start over. So I just went on a rampage, and I'm just fighting everybody, trying to kill everybody, and it's like, the AI is just so, all right, a few guys will engage you in the moment, and then there'll be other people in the background that they don't even care. They're just standing there. Or once you like run off and go into another area and come back, it's like none of this ever happened. You're not getting alarm goes off. You're not getting more enemies coming in. Like, it took me out of the game because you could just see how unrealistic that was, right? Because we've, in the past 10, 15 years, have played stealth games that take advantage of stuff like that. Like, if you get caught, more people are coming in. Like, and this is taking me back to like the early 2000s and the 90s of gaming when it comes to that. And I was very surprised by that. The other thing is, you want to, like, you're trying to be a jack of all trades, but you're a master of none. Like, this isn't like, you have stealth elements in it, but you don't do them very well because of the dumb AI. The combat in it, you're trying to have gunplay, the whip stuff, all that, but it doesn't really land the way that you think, right? So it's never what it should be, what your expectation for this should be as far as that goes. Puzzle, look, I don't have a complaint about the puzzles. To your point about the puzzles, they were never over the top challenging where I was frustrated with it, but you'd have to think. I'd have to look through my notes, stuff like that. And this kind of brings me back again to why I don't think the open zone stuff worked. Sure, they want you to explore. They want you to pick up notes, and you take the photos and you're doing all that and you're building out your journal. I get it. But it never felt rewarding enough. Like, I never, like, you know, you would find like a secret and then you get like an artifact thing, but there's never no real payoff to it. Like, okay, I got it, cool, but did it really help me? Because again, the context of, you can upgrade Indy when you get the adventure points, and you know that you find these books, and then you can level up Indy, and he can do other things. Like, he'd have more punching power, or the one where if you do get knocked out, he'll pick his hat back up and he gets up, you know, like stuff like that. But you didn't really need it.
I
Like,
never,
we talked
you know,
about,
I never upgraded.
This is my point. This is my point. Like,
Yeah.
As an example, you talk about the repair kit stuff. Sure, I had 10 million of them things. You don't even really need them.
Yeah, I think I used it maybe once.
Right. And that's kind of my point. Like, as a matter of fact, I remember a time I picked up a machine gun. First time I got a machine gun. And I was better off using it as a melee weapon than actually shooting it.
I was about to say that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just sneak up behind the dumb AI guy, hit him across the head a couple times, and he goes down. I don't have to worry about the other AI guys because they don't care. Stuff like that. So
and sometimes, Parris, you have your companion, and the enemy sees the companion. They both look at each other, and like nothing happens. It just
that's my point. That's my point again. It just kept the moment to moment gameplay was taking me out of it, and then long stretches of backtracking through that open zone, I honestly was getting bored at points. I just was. When I hit a story beat, when I hit a fun puzzle, I'm back in. Yeah, I like this. This is Indiana Jones. But then there were stretches where I was just like, wow, really? You know, kind of thing. So, like I said, I struggle with this because, and I know people are going to watch this and listen to this, and you're hearing a lot of people like, this is obviously coming out right when early access starts. So people are going to be playing it. I feel this game is going to be so divisive because you're going to have old heads like me that loves the nostalgia of Indiana Jones. This is a great Indiana Jones adventure. Kudos to Machine Games for nailing that part. But when it comes to this being a video game, it's not that good. And I hate saying that. It's not that good. And I'm bummed out about that because you see a lot of good here, but then there's a lot of basic gameplay mechanics that they just didn't get right. And I'm like, wow, really? Because again, no one should go into this expecting it to be Uncharted or Tomb Raider or any of that. I never thought that. But this, for what it is a subpar stealth game with puzzle elements. That's what it is. And it is a bummer that I have to say that, because I don't want to say that. I wanted to be great. I mean, I was super excited for this game when it got revealed a few years ago. And even like when I played, see, that was the other thing. When I did play it in the preview, because I did a vertical slice of the Vatican. Like, you played the Vatican. This isn't any major spoilers, but I played the Vatican right up until you meet Antonio. And then you go to Egypt. Right. That's the other part that you got to play. And even in the Egypt parts, I was seeing things where, like, and I won't spoil anything, but there's a certain item you need to progress once you're in Egypt in a certain part. Mm-hmm. And the game lets you get to that part, but doesn't explain to you or tell you that you needed something else to continue. And I kept jumping into this hole thinking I had to go down this hole, and I kept dying. And I'm like, I had to go grab a guy. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? He's like, oh no, you need this thing. Well, the game doesn't tell you this. It doesn't hint at it. There's nothing there. So you can go to this part of the game and you might just think it's broken. Like, I don't know what to do. Right. Mm-hmm. When I was in the Vatican, like I said, it takes you up to the Antonio part. I started seeing minor signs of the AI even then. I mentioned it to the guy from Machine Games that was there then. But it was ironic that I'm thinking, oh, okay, the Vatican or whatever. But it's like, once you pass that point of meeting Antonio, that's what, quote unquote, opens up the Vatican to the open zone. And then that's when I realized, man, I keep going down this zip line a lot, right? I keep going to Antonio's office a lot. I keep going to these same areas a lot. And that was taking me out of it, because that's not fun. Because you weren't necessarily being rewarded to replay these sections of the game, as an example, right? And that's what I found a lot in that you were kind of doing fetch it stuff, busy work, back and forth. All right, now we're going to progress you on to the next part. Ooh, fun puzzle. I'm doing the fun puzzle. All right, now we're going to have you do busy work again, back and forth, back and forth. And I kept thinking, all right, maybe I'm going to move on to another area, another world, or, you know, area on the globe or something, right? As this adventure. Nope, more busy work for you to do here. Okay, I'll go do it, you know. And that's how I felt playing this. And like I said, I hate saying it, but it's just the truth. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I personally think, because I mean, I don't know how many hours you put in. I'm probably like at the 12th hour. Like, I feel that I'm probably 20. I feel like I'm probably going to end up at about 15, because I can tell I'm like right at the end. But I almost feel like this should have been a 7-8 hour game. Linear, adventure, the cinematics, the great voice acting, the story that you told. I'm going from area to area. I'm being indie. I'm finding stuff, secrets. I'm doing the puzzles. I fight a few enemies here or there, do the whip. Like, you know, all the fun indie stuff that you expect, because that stuff is there, by the way. It's just sparsed out so much, which I almost feel like there's a bunch of filler in between that it isn't needed to make this a fun game. Not every game needs to be 15, 20 hours. It just doesn't. This could have been an 8-10 hour game, tight, concise, great story, and I'd have been happy with it personally.
And better combat.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the AI part of it that is disappointing the most, because I felt I could cheese it a lot. It was so easy to cheese it, because the AI is so non-responsive. Or if I did get overwhelmed by a bunch of, because here's the other trick. I'm sure you went through this too. Say I did die because a bunch of dudes swarmed on me and I died. I come back, poof, it's all gone. It's all good again, and I can just progress to whatever I want to go do. There's no repercussion for me getting caught or explore. They go right back to mindlessly doing what they were doing before.
I think it depends on the area, because there's some areas you will die and you will see them again, and like they'll probably be in the same area. It depends how big or small the area is.
But you get my point, though. It's very easy to get through something if you found it a little bit challenging, because the AI just wasn't responsive enough.
Yeah, I mean, and I also have to mention this, because probably people are going to be like, oh, Uncharted is better. And all this. Like, it's a totally different vibe. It's like, different. Uncharted is more bloody and all this stuff that's not Indiana Jones. Look, even in the movies, Indiana Jones, when he has a gun and he shoots, you don't see no blood. You see people just go, like, falling, getting hurt. It's the same thing with this. Like, you use your gun and you attack the enemies. It's the same exact vibe like the old movies, you know? So And this is not no Michael Bay explosions or that's not the vibe in this game. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you love Indiana Jones, the old movies, you're really gonna enjoy this when it comes to that. It's just the stuff that we've been talking about. It's just like the combat, the AI. Even I forgot to mention this, Parris. I finished the game and the game crashed right when it was like showing me the ending. I had to like restart the final boss battle, the final part of the game, because the game crashed and I'm like, oh my god, I got to do that again. So that part was very, very annoying for me, man. But again, like I know people are gonna focus on a lot of the negative, but I feel like there was more good than bad. We just felt like it could have been better. Like you said, tight. Doesn't have to be 20 hours. Make it less than 15, 10 hours. It's okay.
That's what I'm saying. 8 to 10. 8 to 10 would have been fine.
It would have been fine. It would have been fine. I think that's the part that I think that we're disappointed, when it comes to the combat. Because look, Machine Games, if you look at the track record, their fighting scenes, the combat has always been great. It's always been great. So I wonder why this one was a little bit different and more difficult for the team to make it better. I don't know. That part, I wish I could sit down with somebody from Machine Games about that and ask them about that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and that like I said, that's the thing, because I'm a Wolfenstein fan. I like Machine Game stuff. I mean, take it back to freaking Riddick, Butcher Bay, all that stuff. This wasn't up to the level of that. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I really can't believe I'm saying that, because I truly, honestly expected more from a gameplay standpoint. Like I said, they nailed the indie part of this. They nailed the story part of this. I have no complaints with that at all. It is it is the video game part of this that I have a problem with. Like, that's why I said, if this would have just been an animated movie starring Troy Baker and everybody else and Tony Todd and the rest, I would have loved it. I was like, man, this fits perfectly in between Raiders and The Last Crusade in the timeline. It does. It makes sense. This is something Indiana Jones would do. I have no complaints when it comes to that. It is just the execution of the actual gameplay to where this could have been a lot better. This is not 2001. We're in 2024, and I expected more from the actual gameplay and the AI in this game. I just did.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna ask, okay, Parris, if you give a number, from 1 through 10. Me personally, I think a 7.5, maybe an 8 for me.
7. I give it a 7. It's 7,
that's fair.
And that's boosted up by the nostalgia of it, because I am an Indiana Jones fan. Here's the way I look at it. This is how I would say to anyone watching this or listening to view this. If you stripped away all the Indiana Jones out of this, would you want to play this game?
Oof, I think for me, no.
There you go. If this was Chicago Jones, shout out to Robert Townsend and Hollywood Shuffle, but if this was Chicago Jones and Temple of Doom, would you want to play it?
You know what? Shaq Fu. Let's call it Shaq Fu. Shaq Fu.
But I'm serious though. That's how you have to think of it that way. You have to think of it that way. Like, if you stripped out the nostalgia of Indiana Jones, which, by the way, our generation has nostalgia for it. My kids don't care about Indiana Jones. That's part. See, to me, that's part of it too, where I already went into this, and I had a conversation with Nameless Person a couple days ago about this. I'm concerned for people that have no ties to Indiana Jones. They have no nostalgia for it, right? Because the last movie did nothing for the franchise. And even Crystal Skull did nothing for the franchise. So you're really talking about people that were watching this in the 80s that would still have any kind of nostalgia or excitement for Indiana Jones. This generation doesn't, and this game is not. Again, I feel like I'm being negative, Nancy. I get it, but this game is not going to do anything for the Indiana Jones IP. I don't think so. I don't think this is the thing that's going to get people excited to want more Indiana Jones. Because sure, I love the story, but people playing this game, I think the issues with the gameplay are going to take people out of the experience. So, I mean, we'll see. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
obviously see
looking-
what other people think.
I'm looking at the list of past Indiana Jones video games, and it's not that many.
No.
Not that many. The first one was in 1982, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's for the Atari 2600. So, I mean, there's a lot that came out throughout the years, NES, Super NES, all that stuff. But I feel like at that time, it probably worked out because there was still a lot of fans. Indiana Jones was still new at that time. But it's been decades since, like, this is what happened with the movie that came out, the last movie. It was decent, better than the one before. Not the greatest, but decent, I would say. But box office was not that great because, like you said, Parris, the younger generation moved on. The older generation, a lot of them not going to go to the movies. They're probably going to wait until the movies is in, digital or physical format, and they'll buy it or watch it streaming, So, and it didn't work out. So I think and look, let's think about it. How many of those older folks that loves Indiana Jones that doesn't play games are actually going to go buy a console to play this? And I know this is going to come out on PlayStation 5 sometime next year. Are they going to wait when the game is cheaper? Like, I don't know what's going to happen, honestly, so.
I mean, you have to think of it this way. A lot of people coming into over the past few years were thinking, hey, maybe this can be Xbox's Spider-Man. No. Or
Xbox Uncharted.
Right,
They might say that too.
But
They might say that too.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. And I mean, that's just a bummer. Again, I would have loved to have seen you had the great. Here's an example: Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai did an amazing job of pulling in old people like me with the nostalgia of the Karate Kid, but then they had other compelling elements for a new generation to latch on to. So both came together and enjoyed Cobra Kai, because that's how it was with me and my kids. We all love Cobra Kai, but for different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. I was hoping that Indiana Jones could do that, whereas you have nostalgia of me as an indie fan. Yeah, of course. I want to see that. Great voice acting, Troy Baker, the whole thing. But then you got this amazing first-person / third-person adventure game that's fun as hell to pull in people that aren't familiar with it, and we both get to enjoy it together. Mm-hmm. They dropped the ball on that, unfortunately. I just think they did. Like, I'm not one of those people to say, hey, just wait for a game to be on Game Pass to go play it. But this is one where the fact that it's on Game Pass, I would tell people, go try it for yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Danny. If you have Game Pass, go try it for yourself and see what you think. If you don't have Game Pass, I'm just keeping it a buck with you how I feel, because I expected more. And people that have obviously been following us over the years knows I am a huge Machine Games fan, and I love Wolfenstein. So I had an expectation from a gameplay standpoint with this, and this is not meeting those expectations, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, why the embargo is so close to the release of the early access.
Well,
like that, that's another thing too that was like, oh, maybe it's a story. Maybe, hey, maybe it's a story. They don't want the story to get leaked, that, or whatever. But then the more I've been playing it, I'm like, okay, I can see why. But again, the game is not terrible. The game is not the worst. It's just more of like, it's good, has a lot of potential. The execution, like you said, it's not there. That's it. And that's okay.
And that's the wild part of it for me, in that you can see what they were trying to do. And I'm like, yeah, there's some really, because there's good stuff in here. Don't get me wrong. Because I know I'm being super negative right now. Don't get me wrong. There's good here. There is an excellent story to experience here. I'm not saying that, to take away from that. It's just, if you're jumping in this for the video game part of it, for the gameplay, like you're expecting this excellent first-person adventure game with third-person puzzle elements, you're only going to get, your mileage is going to vary on that, man. And I think the expectations that some people are going to have for this is, it's going to fall short of it. Like I said, I think the puzzles are fantastic, and there's some fun-ass puzzles in here. And, like I said, it'll make you have to use your notes and go, okay, well, in this and, all that. That's great. But man, that combat stuff and just like I said, the backtracking with the open zones, it just didn't do it for me.
Now, do you think it was a mistake having this in first person?
No, I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with it being in first person. It was never about it being in first person. That's the problem. Now, maybe if it was all third person, maybe the melee could have been better. I don't know. But I just think overall, there's other examples from machine games in first person that are executed better. So that's what I'm saying. Again, it's not that it's first person. I don't think that's the issue here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anything else? Try it out on Game Pass.
Yeah, like I said, if you've got Game Pass, try it out for yourself. See, there's going to be some things in here that you're going to enjoy. Don't get me wrong here, but I think it would be irresponsible of us to not point out some of the deficiencies that are here because they're glaring. Unfortunately, they're not like minor. It'd be okay, little flub here or there. It's like no, they're consistent throughout the entire game, and. I mean, like I said, I can only just give my own personal opinion on this that I expected more, and it didn't live up to what I expected, unfortunately. Now, am I saying this is a Redfall type of scenario? No, this is not Redfall. But I think here's what it is, Danny, for me, just to wrap this up. You got Todd Howard attached to it. Todd Howard's love for Indiana Jones. This was like a passion project for him. So he's tied to it as the executive producer. You have a critically acclaimed studio with Machine Games making it, right? It's Indiana Jones. We've already seen that Troy Baker is nailing it. Again, I keep bringing up Tony Todd, but there's an excellent cast here. There's an excellent story here. You have the recipe for what should be a 85, 90 plus game. It's all right there. And you didn't live up to that. So I think that's where my disappointment comes from, that, again, strip the Indiana Jones off of this and you're just like, okay, it's just this average thing that with some broken AI. That's what you would say. But because of everyone that's involved and the IP that's involved, your expectations instantly go higher, and they should. I mean, you shouldn't just settle for something that is just okay. I'm sorry. This should not just be okay. And that's what it is. It's just okay.
But do you agree that this story is one of the best since the...
This is one of the best Indiana Jones stories. This is probably... So in the order, I would put this. Mm-hmm. I would say Raiders is 1. Last 100%. Crusade is 2. Mm-hmm. This is probably 3rd.
I think so too.
Then Temple of Doom. Then Crystal. Again, to me, the last 2 didn't count. Whatever. But then the last 2 in whatever order you want to put them.
Yeah.
But that's where I would put it. I would honestly put this behind Last Crusade. I'd put it 3rd. That's how good the story is. The Great Circle is a great Indiana Jones story. It is.
And that's hard to pull off. Yes. Very hard to pull off. Like how they managed to do a better story than the last 2 movies, Mm-hmm. And I went to the movies to watch the last one, Parris. I don't know if you did. I went. I was like, oh, Indiana Jones back. I can't wait. And I was like, I left the theater like, it was okay. It was better than the previous one, but,
I saw Crystal Skull in the theater, and then I watched, I don't even remember the name of the last one. I watched the last one on Disney Plus, and I really enjoyed the opening, where they CGI'd, Indy and he was younger. I thought that was really good. But then the rest of it was just kind of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the people are going to say once they because I know people are going to start playing it actually at 4:00 today. They're going to start playing it. So
as people, check this out. People are going to be playing it now. But see, that's the thing. That's why I said at the time, it's going to be divisive. You're going to have people that are to think I'm crazy for the stuff I'm saying. You're going to have other people nodding their head in agreement.
They're going to call you Xbox hater.
Yeah, you're going to have other people that are going to be even harsher than me, I think. Honestly. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see once people get their hands on it.
And look, even your dog agrees. Your dog agrees. So look, everyone, make sure to go to gamertagradio.com. This is our past episode. Also, hit us up on social media, Blue Sky, X, whatever you're at. Let us know your thoughts if you agree or disagree. Because I think there's a good group of people from our community actually going to buy this early access. So I'm very curious to hear their thoughts. And also for those that wait until it's out on Game Pass a couple of days later, let us know your thoughts too. And we're going to wrap it up. Anything else, Parris? I think we're good. We're good?
Yeah, I think we're good. Like I said, I will be very curious to see what people think once they start playing it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. But shout out to Bethesda and Xbox for sending us a review code. And that's it. Until next time, we're out. Take care. Bye.